As a part of my Computex coverage for Dell, I made a few interviews, and this one that you will see right now is the second one that I had with Steve Liu. He's responsible for the Inspiron devices, and in my opinion it was quite an interesting discussion. I hope you will like it too. Just as a little bit of a side note, audio maybe isn't all that great. I'm a little bit too loud, he's a little bit too quiet, but I made the best what I could out of it, and most importantly I hope you will enjoy it. So here it is. I could actually already start, maybe if you could introduce yourself to the audience, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm the product marketing director for the global brand, which is Inspiron and Vostro. And we manage the mainstream consumer brand as well as the Vostro, which is a small business brand. So out of the consumer business, we actually have few brands. First of all, everyone knows about Alienware.
Yes.
Everyone knows about XPS. But their target customers are more on the premium side. They're designed for the best, and they're very best quality, best performance products. But we have to cater to other side of the customers, who may have more limited budget to what they want to buy, but they also seek for good quality, good performance, and that's where Inspiron and Vostro brands comes in.
It's actually getting to my first question, because I noticed, especially with the 13700 with the Inspiron, that you are getting closer and closer to the XPS series. So are there any limitations from Dell that you can't actually go too close? Because it seemed pretty similar.
So XPS is, I think their tagline, the brand they talk about is designed for the best, right? So they're always pioneering something that's new and never seen before in the industry. So that's XPS always do that. Now Inspiron is, we also take very exciting things and we put it into a more affordable price range, right? I'll give you a perfect example. So XPS is the first notebook in the world a couple years back to start with the narrow border design, so Infinity Edge. And eventually we brought the price point down to more affordable price point. So right now, almost all of our Inspiron product line has narrow border on it. Obviously, that trickle effect not only to the Inspiron but to the whole industry, right? So, like I said, XPS is always the pioneer on breakthrough innovation, and eventually we'll bring those price down to more affordable price points for Inspiron line of product. But in terms of you had a good question on, is there any overlaps?
Yes.
Obviously, we continue to find differences in terms of the material selections. XPS will always strive for the best available premium material out there in the market. Like, for example, carbon fiber. If you see some of the carbon weaves that they have been designing, unfortunately, those are pretty expensive to make, and you will not find an Inspiron 7000. As an example.
So how closely are actually both teams working together, or are they side by side, or is taking maybe Inspiron some inspiration from XPS?
That's the beauty about Dell, right? So we have such a strong brand and strong assets and engineering as well. Sometimes we will take the domain expertise knowledge from the XPS team or even Alienware. I'll give you another very good example. People ask about the difference between Alienware and G series gaming, right?
They're also getting closer and closer these days.
Right, it's the same thing as XPS and Inspiron. Now, I'll give you an example. So right now, Alienware, they have not only the hardware but the software. That's software that's called the Alienware Command Center, and we have brought that from the Alienware team all the way to our G series customer. So the same G series customer, they may be buying. Maybe the performance is not as strong as Alienware, but they get the same software that we have engineered, and on these doesn't matter the price point the customer pays. They get the same software.
So in some way, XPS and their tech trickles down to Inspiron like it does from Alienware to the G series.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. So what I also wanted to know if there is a possibility for an OLED display on an Inspiron anytime soon.
That's always a good question. Like I said, the best technology we always pioneer on XPS and Alienware, which is available today, and I think we're announcing on multiple products. Once again, if the volume picks up when the customer acceptance is high and when it becomes commoditized to an affordable price point, and then we will bring that technology we'll introduce that into the Inspiron product line. But right now we're at the pioneer stage and to see how well the customer responds to it, because not every customer needs OLED.
Yeah.
It is great feature, great product, but not every customer needs it. And we have, as an Inspiron brand, we have to cater to global customers and to serve their needs. If we have it, but no one's buying it, then that defies the purpose. Right?
I also guess the concern is still for AMOLEDs that they could burn in. Or maybe also, so how got they accepted from the market? So are people actually asking for it already? Because I've also seen a creator recently saying that they are usually still too punchy in terms of color, so it's not something for a creator person who needs accurate colors. So how got it accepted?
So since Inspiron, we don't have OLED today, so I cannot comment to it. But to justify that for the Inspiron product line, we have also very wide selection of panels. We have UHD 4K panels in our 7000 series selection today. For one of the Inspiron 7000 clamshell that we're launching, and it also has panel up to 500 nits. Right, color accuracy is actually very premium standard. That's maybe an better alternative option for those who does not want an OLED panel. So we do have a wide variety of panel selections as well.
I have to actually say I was most impressed by the 7000 2-in-1, the black edition. So how was the feedback on that one, especially with the tray for the Stylus where you can access it every
exactly.
time?
So. One of the things that when we design our product is we always think about the pain points from the customer, and when people want to use pen but they have nowhere to put it and they will lose it, right?
Yeah, we talked about the Microsoft Surface all the time.
Yeah. And then we don't want it to be external, like outside of the system, right? So now we try to engineer in multiple scenarios, and the best way is we find that we're able to find it in fit it into the hinge design of a 2-in-1. So when it's closed, it's hidden in the hinge. But it's open. Doesn't matter which angle you open to, 360 degree. It's always accessible, and it's hold bound by magnetics. So the feedback has been very phenomenal right now, and actually we're just about to begin selling it recently.
Yeah,
so
I can't wait to get it.
Well, I guess the sales result will find out whether if it does well, but we're very excited about that.
How long did it actually take to develop that kind of mechanism? Because I've not seen something anywhere, like that.
So any design, especially that are new, from the proof of concept, right, to what we call define and develop, that process takes more than a year. Right, because we have to make sure the rigidity, the usability is perfect. So it takes a long time to develop. So the actual time from when we had the concept all the way when we can launch a product, it actually more than 1 to 1.5 years of work, hard work from engineers.
How many people are usually involved in such a process in terms of the development?
Lots. We actually have a very big engineering team. As you can see, all these products takes a lot of engineers, but there's not only engineers, but there's people like program managers. We have Dell is known for the supply chain, right? So we have a very strong supply chain of people that help to manage all these components and parts, because it does not consist of one part. Every single screw counts, right? There's battery, there's panel, there's keyboard, all the keyboard languages as an example. So that's why we need a lot of cross-functional team that works together and to form a product. So I don't have a good number for you, but it's a big team.
But since you just mentioned the keyboard layouts, I'm still surprised every time when I usually review the German versions and there is a different keyboard layout and people don't even know that there is more than one.
Yeah,
That's actually pretty funny. But talking about the experiment with the pen, how much room do you have for experiments such like these?
How much room?
Or how much gets scrapped? I guess you have so many ideas, but not all make it to the market.
Yeah, so usually every commodity is different, right? And that filtered down. So for pen, I'm sure we have looked at almost up to maybe 10 plus designs, and we filter it down. But like I said, every commodity is different. I'll give you another example. When we were doing Alienware designs, because Alienware has the iconic design, they actually went through 100 different concepts.
I'm pretty sure of that.
And they went for the best one, because whatever concept that we select, we want to lead the industry, and we want to lead the industry for not just 1 year, but multiple years. So these concepts vary by commodity. We go through wide selection of process, and we find the one that's the best for our customer with the best user experience.
So how do you kind of evaluate what the customer actually wants? how do you pick up feedback from forums or reviewers, or how much influence do
so lots. Forums as well. You brought up a good point. Right now, if you go to Dell.com, we also have a 5-star rating where people who purchase the product, and we listen to their review, and we on constant basis. Now, on top of that, we also do focus groups, right? We go to key markets, Europe markets, China market, US market, and we go in to homes of these people and listen to their pain points and the things that they would like to see. And the customer feedback that we hear about our customers is convenience. Convenience could be the pen experience, but also the portability of the system. They care about the design, they care about the performance, they care about security. So we take care of all of that.
Since you care so much about it, what I'd actually like to know, if there would be a big kind of concern about a certain product, like let's say, for example, a keyboard, and there would be a big issue with that. How long would it take for you to fix it? Would you do it actually? I mean, I guess you know what I mean with the MacBook keyboard and all those issues.
So the good thing is we don't take risk in keyboards because it's the primary way to interact with the PC. So we don't take risks. A lot of people today, when they try to go thin, they go light, they compromise the typing experience. So the key travel that we define for our customer, we set a very strict length of key travel. So we do not go below that threshold. So that will give us the most optimized typing experience. And on top of that, if you have the chance to look at our products on the show floor, you can see not only the power button is integrated to the keyboard, even the fingerprint reader is integrated, because we listen to our customer. If they want to clean, they want convenience, they have a quick access, it's all in there. So we think really early to make sure we get it right the first time.
Yeah, but especially the feedback is pretty important, because that's something that I was happy to see on the XPS series, because I think at around the 2015 model or so, you had a pretty shallow flat keyboard that was pretty dead, and you have improved on that. You gave it back a little bit more travel. So that was actually pretty nice to see. And talking about actually market leading, about those 2-in-1s, we are seeing more and more these days. If it's a foldable or if it's anything like that, what's still the best selling? Is it still the classic notebook, or are those 2-in-1s overtaking?
It really depends on the market. If you look at the global agencies like IDC, GfK, Gartner, they will tell you the data. There's a mixed percentage. It's still slowly growing in that segment, but it's not a rapid. It does not take over everything. It's very specific in the market. Now, 2-in-1 is always dominant in the Western societies, like especially in the U.S., right? And they really care about that 2-in-1 experience. However, it's the opposite in Asia. If you go to China, no one wants a touchscreen. No one wants a 2-in-1. They're looking for performance and portability, right? Because they're not comfortable touching the interacting with the notebook using touch. If they want to touch something, everyone's home has more than one device. They have tablets, they have cell phones, so they have that. So the usage behavior is very different from different countries and regions. So as long as there is need, we will have a portfolio that caters to that segment. So that's why 2-in-1 still has a very important place, because of the U.S. market and the European market. Customers still demands for it.
But it's actually not just the US market and the European market. What I noticed, a lot of students are looking for it, especially due to the Stylus input. So how big is Stylus input, and how much effort do you put into getting those students? Because mostly I see people asking if they should get an iPad or maybe a Surface. But how are you targeting that?
Yeah, so definitely it's big, because that's why when we designed the 13-inch 7000 Inspiron, the Stylus is included 100%. Every system we ship with has that Stylus. Obviously, we feel that there's a strong need for it. And not only that, we're partnering with Microsoft. You know, Microsoft has been pretty big on the ink, right? They comment about the ink. So we're working to collaborating with Microsoft as well on the application and the usage scenarios of the pen scenarios. And because there's a lot of people that are still more comfortable writing versus typing. Yeah. And on top of that, what's funny is that there are some countries where the more elderly people, they don't know how to type, because they never learned how to type. And the thing that they can do is either speech recognition or writing, right?
Is speech recognition actually a big thing? Because I haven't really gotten that much into it.
There has been a lot of interest from not only Microsoft, but like Amazon. They have been trying to put Alexa on some of the systems. But one of the obviously we're partnering with all of them on those, having Cortana available on all of our Windows systems. But one of the problems that we notice is about privacy. If you want to talk about or input something that's more sensitive, right? You cannot say it out loud in front of the public, or when you're in a quiet place like libraries, right? Voice becomes a limitation versus convenience. So it's in a way it's a nice to have, but it's not going to be the replace keyboard completely, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. One more thing that I'd like to know, since Inspiron is more focused towards the value market.
Sure.
And we are seeing Xiaomi and also Huawei overtaking a little bit more. So how big of a threat are they actually, especially Xiaomi, since you usually have to still import them, but in terms of value, because you offer good value at that price, but on a maybe higher quality level, but they offer more, maybe not on the same level. But how would you see that as a threat?
So we don't see as a threat. We always welcome competition because they see the value and the customer needs in this market. So that means Dell has been in the right position and right place all the time, and that's why people want to come into this space. But we have a lot of expertise, not only on hardware, software, security, and all that, right? So that's what Dell is really strong at, and we have a very breadth of knowledge that we can inherit from XPS and even Alienware, right? That's something it takes not just 1 or 2 years to replicate. Right? So those are 10 or 20 or 30 years of experience in the market to be able to do what we're doing today. So that's why if there's Xiaomi and Huawei, we'll definitely welcome these so-called competition to the market, and they help us. We help each other to stay innovate, right, and stay competitive in the market. But like I said, Dell is a global brand. We have a lot of strong product knowledge in this space, so we're very confident about our product offerings, and we'll continue to innovate because of that.
Actually, one more thing that I'd like to get back to the 2-in-1 or the Surface Pro, let's say, competitor. We have seen like 2 or 3 years ago there was a mass demand for that, and then it kind of went back. And I haven't really seen an Inspiron Surface yet or something like that. Is there something coming, or is that idea almost died off and pretty much everyone leads that to Microsoft?
Are you talking about the detachable Surface? Yeah, so this is a good question. So that's a space we actually purposely did not actively participate in, right? For multiple reasons. In this space, our customer, what do they use that for? Is it for work or is it for content consumption? Right? Content consumption is mostly for fun, right? But when we look at the market, right, we analyze the market. Yes, I think Microsoft has captured a certain audience, right? But to us, it's not big enough of the segment for us to actively pursue.
Yeah, I get it. Because that was my main issue at first. I thought it's not a proper tablet, it's not a proper laptop, so what is it? So it makes sense, because most people I see using it are students. For them it makes maybe sense due to portability, but otherwise, so how big is actually the demand for a stylus? Because we've talked already about it, that older people like to use it. How about more modern people, or actually mainstream people? Do they actually ever use the pen? Because I see myself barely ever using it.
That's a good question. So, like I said, right now our pen is limited to the 7000 series. Once again, we're also monitoring the market. Obviously, we feel there is a need for it. A lot of time when people buy things, sometimes emotion is about having it versus then using it, right? Just like back in a couple years ago, and people said, I want that optical drive. Not because they will use it, but they know that when they need to use it, it's there.
In case.
Right? So it may not justify for everyone, but it's something that people are looking for when they buy it. And then it's an alternative way to input, to interact with the device. So that's something we're also monitoring, and we're working closely with Microsoft, whether it will pick up or not. Also, unfortunately, there's a cost associated to that as well, right? For people that are in this space, not only invest on the pen, but also the touch panel, it adds a little bit of cost and weight. So I would not say because of that it will be 100% into the market, but there is a space or there's a growing segment of customer who does have the desire to use a pen.
But in some way, I also think that it's not all that great implemented into Windows yet. I think it could be a little bit more intuitive in some points.
Yeah, so we will continue to improve, right? So Microsoft have these different protocols, and we're working closely with them to continue to innovate and improve that pen experience. So the angle, the pressure, the sensitivity, right? Everything, battery life, the way that we store it, right? And the way that we charge it. So it's always something that will continue to improve until the point where people are very comfortable using it majority of the time. Okay.
And one last question, since we are talking about 2-in-1 stylus and everything that's coming up new, what do you think is the next big thing, or are you maybe already working, if you can share something of that?
I think the common trend about 2-in-1, not just 2-in-1, but more premium laptops today is about the being thin and light. On top of that is the visual experience, right? People are asking for, just like cell phones, right? Better screen to body ratio. People want longer battery life. People want mobility, which means lighter weight. So those are the things that will continue to improve. It's not going to be able to do it overnight. Say, hey, you got the longest battery, lightest, the best screen to body ratio, the best pixel overnight. It's not going to happen. But it's a journey. We will eventually get there.
But how do you actually find the sweet spot? Because the issue, what I've noticed in the past so many times, people want it thinner, then it's too thin and you lose out on battery. Yes. So how do you find it also in terms of size? For example, we went with the XPS so small that we lost the port A port, and people weren't all that happy about that. So how easy it is to find the sweet spot, if it is?
It's very difficult right now, because there's no perfect solution in the market right now. So that's why Dell, when we design all of our products from the Inspiron 3 to 5 to 7,000 series, today you will see we do not compromise on the ports for the Inspiron lines.
Yeah, I've noticed.
You will see the full HDMI port, you will see the Type-C port, you will see the, if not one but two USB-A ports, audio jack, even micro SD card reader or SD card reader. It's all there. We do not cut corners.
I actually think that most of those value-focused people actually are looking more for that than anyone else, because I've noticed in the higher-end segment, if it's a MacBook, if it's a Huawei, or if it's maybe the XPS series, there people are actually more willing to sacrifice it to be even smaller. Because what I was surprised by the 13-7000, when I had it in my hands and it looked already so small and compact, and then I put it side by side to the 13 or to the XPS 13 and noticed how much smaller that still is. It's not a big difference as it was like 4 years ago, but still. And the good thing is you have the choice between getting the slightly bigger one with all the ports or the most modern one.
Exactly. So if you talk about the future trend, I think the target customers that we're catering to, they still want these ports.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will continue to keep that, but for the long term, once again, more powerful, more portable, better looking design system, longer battery, right? Those are the things that we will continue to improve and wow the customer.
But, so you're not anytime soon gonna drop the USB-A port, because especially those value-focused people still need that a lot.
It is still needed, and I think we will, for the longest time, we will still keep that in our system. So look forward to maybe the next CES. We will have more exciting product coming out, which I'm sorry I cannot share more detail with you today.
I get it. Okay, thank you very much. It was an honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.